Alright guys, how you doing? It's Rabea. I hope you're all well. So I'm pretty excited about this video. This is a brand new today, launched today, plugin from Neural DSP. I hope you know who Neural DSP are. They're a relatively recent company that have been making plugins for any DAW, and they're really killing it right now. I've done videos with Dave on the Dark Glass plugins they've done, also the 14 Nameless suite and the NTS suite, which are amplifiers, and I even made a song called In the Face of the Nameless, which you may have heard. I'll link in the description box below. In any case, this is a brand new plugin from Neural DSP in association with Plini, who, I mean, he doesn't need any introduction. Plini is a prolific instrumental virtuoso guitar player that's just come up like a rocket in the last few years, releasing multiple albums, and he's just known for being an incredible player in that kind of like ambient kind of virtuoso style guitar playing. So Neural and Plini have worked together to create this plugin, and it is absolutely awesome. This is the Archetype plugin from Neural DSP. So I've got a screen capture of the plugin going on in Logic right now, and we're going to go through it all so you can see how it works. But I do have some notes on this plugin in particular, the Archetype, because it's brand new, so I want to make sure I get it all right. So firstly, we've got 3 brand new amplifier models. There's a crystal clean, there's a tight rhythm, and a powerful lead. So I'm assuming that's kind of like clean, crunch, and like full-on gain for leads and stuff like that. There is also a compressor pedal section, and also a like drive pedal section, much like in, say, the Nameless plugin. You've got the Zool, you've got the gate, you've got the grind pedal and all that kind of stuff. So similar kind of working there. You've got cabinet simulation, which is a new model actually done by ML Sound Lab, but it works in the same way. Like, you can choose between the mics, like 121s, 160s, 906s, 421s, 57s, lots of numbers, but lots of different microphones that you can blend together in the same way you could in the other plugins, so that's really sweet. There's also a full parametric EQ section, which is independent between each amplifier model. So not only do you have the EQ on the amp model itself, but then you have a full parametric EQ section of the plugin that you can really fine tune the equalization of each sound, which is phenomenal. And then lastly, you've got reverb and delay, and these are stereo delay, stereo reverb, because as you know, Plini is, you know, about his ambience and his ambient leads and stuff like that, so it wouldn't be complete without that. And it's really sophisticated. You've basically got a beautiful sounding reverb pedal that you can affect the decay, the size of the room. You've got a high pass and a low pass filter on there, and then you've also got a delay pedal which you can have modulation on it. There's ping pong delay on there. You can obviously affect the timing, the subdivisions. Of course, there's a high pass and a low pass on there as well. So they've just, once again, Neural DSP have managed to cram in so much stuff into this plugin, and just hearing it before shooting this video, I was like, this is immense. This is definitely up my street, so I'm really excited to show you and get stuck in with it. And I just think it's fantastic that guys like Plini and Neural DSP are working together to do something like this. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. Let's do an overview of the plugin. Okay, so now we're looking at a screen grab of the plugin, kind of similar, except rather than black, it's a nice clean white look, which I like. So I think the first thing to go over is this sort of general interface. So you've got your input gain, there's a gate on there if you need it. You can go between mono and stereo. Your oversampling, which is kind of like your bit rate, like the performance quality between normal and high. If you've got a much more powerful computer, I'd recommend putting it on high. You've got your preset area, which you can load users, artists, factory, which will obviously increase over time as more people use this stuff. But I've created one here called Rabea 1, which is now what we're going to be using today. And then you've got your output gain. So that's kind of the main control panel that works universally. Along the top, you've got different icons for the pedals, the amplifier, the graphic EQ, the speaker, and the reverb and delay, which we'll show you in a moment. And of course, this is your main construct for the clean amplifier. So along the bottom here, you can see these, like, this is very Plini, these kind of symbols here, and these represent the different amps you can use. So right now we're on the clean amp. If I click this, we'll move to the crunch amp, and if I click this, we move to the high gain amp. As you can see, they all change color and vibe, and it's kind of obvious which one does what. Anyway, that's the sort of main page, and as you can see, you've got bright switch, 3-band EQ, master, presence, and gain. So it's really straightforward, but awesome. Okay, so let's go to pedals. So as you can see, we've got a compressor and an overdrive, which can be used universally. So irrespective of which amplifier you're on, you can use these and the settings will remain the same. Really handy, especially having a compressor on cleans and things like that, or if you're doing lead on a lower gain sound, you can boost the compression, get a nice feel, make it easier to play. So that's the amplifier construct, as I said. Let's move to the graphic EQ. So it's really cool, almost kind of looks like a microtubes amp, which is kind of sick. Anyway, these are your bands. You've got 65 hertz all the way up to 16 kilohertz, everything in between, which is really, really handy for fine tweaking if you haven't quite got it how you want it straight in. And the wicked part about this is depending on the amp you're on, it changes. So it remembers what your EQ settings were depending on the amplifier that you're on, and they obviously change color as well, which is a very, very handy tool, and it makes it just easier all around for navigation. Now you're onto the speaker simulation, and again, this will change depending on, the speaker cab won't change, but as you can see, the amplifier face will change depending on what you're using. And much like the Nameless and the NTS and even the Dark Glass, you can see very, very similar vibe here. You can use 2 microphones, you've got a drop-down menu, you can load a custom IR, and of course you can flip phase and all that sort of stuff. So I'm running a 906 and a ribbon because that's generally the kind of mic combo I like to use. And then finally, we're on to the creme de la creme, the reverb and the delay. Very cool, kind of Dark Glass inspired pedal interfaces, which I quite like. So firstly, we'll look at the delay. So obviously this is your dry wet. Everything from sort of the left-hand side to 12 o'clock is going to be more of the dry signal, and then anything above that will be more of the wet signal. Then you've got tempo sync, which is if you're in a session like I am and I'm at 120, that's synced to 120 beats per minute. You can turn that off and then change the tempo should you choose to. Ping pong, which is going to throw around that stereo image, and then modulation, which gives you a little bit of a whirring kind of, just more depth. And then we've got feedback, which is sick because it's just the amount of repeats you want. You can have that on full and get an intense sound, or you can just have that to your liking, 3 or 4 repeats, 5 repeats. It's kind of where I like to sit. Then we've got things like tape saturation, which is really nice, adds a bit of grit to the repeats. You've got tempo, which of course is synced. So this is how you would control the tempo with this. You can see quite clearly here what tempo we're at. And then time being the subdivision. So if I move that around, that's half time triplet. And we've got dotted quarter notes, as you can see quite clearly here. And then tone. So that's like a low pass filter or a high pass filter. So the more I boost that, the more treble you're going to get in the repeats. The more I pull out, the less treble you get in the repeats. So that's delay. Then we're on to reverb. As you can see, same sort of thing, dry, wet. You got space, which is the sort of size of the space you're in. So in terms of depth of reverb. And then you've got the time, which is your decay. Then we've got a high pass filter and a low pass filter. So I've shelved a little bit of low end here, and I've taken out a bit of high end. So I just want a kind of nice mid-range kind of reverb for my sound. And that would be basically the plugin. This is how you navigate through it. Super simple, super straightforward. And generally, I just love the way these plugins work and how easy they are to navigate. Okay, so let's start out and see how this thing sounds. I'm using the JP15 because I want to mess around with the piezo, but I've also got my ML3 beer baritone here, so we can see how this thing is handled in extended range. So we're just going to go through it kind of systematically, but I really want to just play so you can hear how good it sounds. So I've got my settings set up. You'll hear ping pong delays, you'll hear reverb, all that kind of stuff, but we will mess around. In any case, this is the sound I've got straight in. We're on the clean amp right now. We've got no overdrive or compression engaged just yet, but we do have reverb and delay to my tastes. So here we go. Super glassy. Now if I go into piezo mode as well as the blend, you're going to hear just how beautiful this clean sounds. Okay, so now I'm going to throw on the compressor and the overdrive so you can hear what happens. So firstly, the compressor. I mean, there's no doubt that that is a beautiful, clean sound. You know, really dependent on the guitar you use, of course, but I thought I love using the piezo on a glassy clean like that. It's stunning. So let's throw on the overdrive. Just a little bit of overdrive. Nothing too serious, but, you know. It sounds great, you know, forgetting that, you know, we're using a plugin right now. And again, like, you know, on the neck, I felt that felt really nice. It just had a nice wash to it. You can kind of hear the modulation whirring afterwards. Stunning, 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 stunning. Anyway, what I want to do now is turn off the overdrive and compression, move to the next amplifier. Okay, so that was clean. Let's move on to crunch now. So again, you can navigate this from the moon symbol at the bottom. So this was clean. Going to keep the reverb and delay because it sounds lush. So this is crunch. It was a great sounding crunch. So let's throw on the overdrive. Compressor. going to turn off the reverb and the delay, and I'm going to give you a little bit more gain. It's thick and it's really bold. I really like that. You know, it just sounds great. Take off the overdrive. I love the way that the overdrive, as you would expect, just tightens it up, takes the low end out. I've turned the overdrive off. Now it's thicker. It's a little bit warmer. Sounds really good. Just have the reverb. It's great. Anyway, lastly, let's try out the high gain. I dropped my pick. But how good does that sound? That sounds sick. Okay, let's throw in the overdrive, see how that changes things. Awesome. So it's really for a lead, or at least that's what it says in the notes. Reverb and delay. What a sound though, seriously, that is phenomenally good. It's seriously impressive. I mean, come on. We're into this age now where plugins really are doing such a good job. You know, I just need my iLock, my computer, an interface, and a guitar. Just any way of getting my guitar into the computer, and I can get that sound. If I'm on the road, now I don't need some big rig or some sort of... I just need a laptop and my interface, and I can get that. I mean, come on. It's really impressive. Really impressive. Anyway, let's move on to the baritone. Okay, got the baritone, and we'll work backwards, seeing as we're on the high gain. I've taken off the reverb and delay, so let's have a listen, see how it handles it. That sounds so good. So good. I've just got a big grin on my face. Mate. Reverb and delay involved. Seriously good. Okay. Take off the overdrive. Let's move back to crunch. Sounds phenomenal. Let's move on to clean. Well, I think it's safe to say that this plugin is awesome. In my opinion, this is probably my favorite one of the Neural DSP plugins because it's more aimed at the kind of, I mean, it's got reverb and delay in there. It's got some really dynamic tones. You know, you've got a beautiful glassy clean. You've got that nicely pushed crunch that can turn into a heavy rhythm. And then of course you've got a lead channel, which is creamy for the leads, but then on top of that, it's crushing if you've got the right kind of guitar to do that. So I'm really, really impressed. I think it sounds absolutely fantastic. Once again, Neural DSP have knocked it out of the park, and they just keep justifying why nowadays plugins and modeling and all that kind of stuff is really, in terms of use and in terms of relevance, it's like right up there nowadays with amplifiers. You know, like I still want to play valve amplifiers live, and there's a feeling that you get when you play one and the response and all that kind of stuff that for me I really, really love and enjoy. But in the studio and on the road and when I'm traveling, this kind of thing is just, it's invaluable because I don't need to worry about carrying a hell of a load of gear. I can grab my guitar, I can just plug straight in using a little interface, even just, you know, one of those jam plug interfaces, you could go straight in, you know, and then you've got that, you know, that sound for demoing, recording, all that kind of stuff. Absolutely phenomenal. So Plini, Neural DSP, hats off. You've won me over this time. I'm definitely a fan of this plugin. I'm really happy that I've got hold of it, and I recommend you guys check it out. Once again, you can go in the links in the description box, grab hold of this plugin and see what you think for yourself. But as far as I'm concerned, this is one of the most comprehensive modern guitar plugins that you can get hold of nowadays. So once again, thank you Neural DSP for sending it over. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe and share, and I will see you all very soon.